So this is what we have here. Launched in Foundry. For the party module, we have an icon down here for GM support. We have a movable tab which can be locked. We have a rest watch. We have some operations, marching order, and another GM panel. So we'll start with the rest watch. In the rest watch section here, we have character assignment. We've got four different watches here. It shows you highest and lowest passive perception and the highest and lowest passive investigation amongst each of the watches. You can assign characters. You can click and drag characters. You can duplicate characters as well, and you can expose notes, so you can save your notes here. So if we wanted to have two Clarences, he's on watch 1 and watch 2. We got Cinter on watch 2, we got Rue, we got Maya. There's your full and complete. You've got a campfire going. Shows you the slots are filled. Assigned entries, you got 5. Campfire's lit. We can lock the plan if we want. This should stop people from being moved. Maybe it only applies to it might only apply to parties at this point. We can save a snapshot and we can essentially clear these, and it should allow us to fill from last session. There we go. So we can repopulate that. We can also just fill from active party. That'll just create a random. So this is Orion is deceased, but he was part of our active parties. So he populated there. That still needs to be fleshed out a little bit. You can reset the day from here. And then that's pretty much it for the watches. Then we've got marching order. We've got 4 actors in our marching order. 2 front, 2 middle. That's our default formation. I think there's slots for as many as you want in the rear at that point. It's 2, so they're 2, 3, and as many as you want is our typical marching order from the DMG. These errors are from MIDI-QL, not related to this mod. Probably just an abandoned actor somewhere. Combat ready, that's 2 and 2, and it tells you also here what that does. So balanced readiness for our default formation. If you guys are combat ready, improve front contact, reduce frontal ambush vulnerability. Tight corridor, that's 2 and 2. Low visibility formation, that's 1, 1, and 3. If you're going into stealth, and then you can create a doctrine for that as well. Then you can assign who has a torch, and that should pop up on our actors here for our marching as well. You can customize the light, say if you have a 3060 or whatever, and that's just a global way to track it. A little bit of help here just to explain. That's it for marching order. Simple. And then operations is where things get a little messy. We are, right off the bat, we're going with our planning. So we have our 4 operations roles. These give different bonuses and negatives. I still am working on what I want that to exactly do. But they'll be global, or not global, but party intrinsic bonuses. Based on if you guys are doing these, and I'm sure we'll have a metric of some sort. Readiness, this shows our total party readiness. Right now we have 0 out of 6 SOPs, so we have a higher risk, a higher disorder risk, and an inactive preparation edge. So that means if we go to our comms, this is where you guys can discuss your code phrases if you want to have code phrases. The UI is a little off here, so I've got to make an adjustment here, but that's, you got a signal flare plan, a bell alarm plan, a pre-combat brief, and then your signals and your code phrases, something that you guys should communicate when you're just about to get into battle. Reputation, there's a reputation brief, and it tells you all the different factions that you're aligned with. There's your faction standings. We've got 8 factions so far in here. You can select by standing. You can filter as well, so filtering through your factions. We've got our religious authority, nobility, criminal factions, common populace. Those are the 4 key typical factions. And then we've got Cold Corton, Greenwood, Church of the Last Light, and Butcher's Bandits, which you guys are hostile with or actively. And we can log notes here as well, so there should be yeah, so they're actively seeking your demise. You can log these notes as well. I'm still working on getting that properly working. Then you can add a faction here, and then also up here you'll notice that there's food cycles and water cycles and bindings. So the food cycles is basically how much food stores you guys have in the party and where those things are found. I gotta fix this broken mod. And then get out of here. Okay, whatever. I'll just move this down. And then we have our base. This is not active yet. It has capacity. It can be used, but I haven't really done any work on it. Just for recording your bases, you can add sites where you guys are storing things, what the weight capacity is, the space. You guys can kind of track them independently. We'll have notes on here, and maybe even like goes to a scene or something that you guys can populate. Then we've got downtime. Downtime goes through requests, so when we're doing a downtime, I'll propose the amount of hours that you guys have for your downtime. I don't think you can do it here, just because that's in the GM section, but I'll grant you hours for your downtime. Then you can say how much of that downtime you want to spend, what you want to spend it doing based out of the DMG and the PHB, who's doing it, and some references here on what you can do. And then you can submit it. It'll go to a log for me, and then I will be able to assign you resolutions to those downtimes, and then you can just finalize them here. We don't even need to talk about it if you wanted to log in and do some downtime actions. I'll just keep granting you guys hours as you go. We've got recovery here, so this is, I built the injury chart into our game, so now you can select who has a healer's kit, who's using what. You've got base recovery days, you can track your injury. These are all the injuries. The injury table is right here, which I've made available. And then you can roll your injury, and then it gives you what it does. And then you could select if you're stabilized. Looks like the UI is still a little bit off here. And then you could actually apply that, save that injury. So now it should go into your calendar. If not, it'll pop up here and it'll show you what's happening. And these DAE effects should... This one has a possible effect on it, so it might not show up. But you could essentially... It should be in your DAE, so right here. Bonus ability, what is it? +1 intimidation. So that one doesn't look like it did flag. It should be under, oh there it is, okay. So it did flag. So it'll provide you with the effects that are on there. Deep scar, injury state permanent, injury recovery permanent. So that's one that we'd have to edit if it's visible. And then you can clear these, remove that, and that should remove it from your character as well. It might just take a second to reactivate. I think it's got to go through a call for a recycle. Um, but yeah, so you generally should be able to add them, remove them, and as it goes, if it's a time-based one, it'll auto-apply. You can apply your fix to it and change the days, and that way it's all tracked like that. And then, let's see, back in the planning section here, we've got our roles, we've got our SOP. So this is where you guys will put notes how you want to set up your camp. So that way it's the same every time. You guys log the notes, then we toggle yes, you guys have talked about it. Then every time you've talked about your SOPs and you've logged your notes, it gives me an idea of what to expect for you guys, so I can set it up without you guys confirming every time. And then it also gives you group benefits as well, which are global for your party. Then we've got resources. So this is for tracking. You can have a steward's pool here, and then you can also select from your resources and then assign them. And then as the day goes by, it will actually subtract those resources without you even looking. And you can also apply the daily upkeeps and do it yourself. There's some modifiers here just to show how things are going to be calculated. And then each day you can spend some time, gather, and your base DC will depend on what is, so your base DC is usually 10, and then Clarence is going to be doing it, and we're going to look for food and water, and right now it's heavy snow, so your DC is going to be 15. It'll roll, and then once it's rolled, I just got it rolled there automatically, so it didn't save for the day, so you wouldn't have any food bonuses or water bonuses, but it will be populated based on a random roll from there. And then over here we've got party health. So these are all the assigned terms. So right now you guys have all your rolls assigned, so you got +1 initiative. You've got weather visibility, it's cloudy out, so you have -1 perception checks. Your logged weather visibility modifier is noted there, and you have some negatives here just from these sections, which still need to be filled out, which will give you group benefits, and then you have basically a printout here as well, if you want to see it like that. And then over here we've got the GM panel. This is where a lot of my actions take place. I can create factions, I can add global modifiers, I can log the weather changes, so we can go back to a clear day, clear skies. I can make global effects based on that. Maybe there's acid rain, and then we can add that as a DAE effect that applies to everybody. Then we can log the weather. So now it's a clear day, the weather visibility modifier is 0, and everybody's passives are now reset for those negatives that we had on the global environment. And then we've got some more global controls here. I can say that you guys are in unstable footing, and if you have successive failures with unstable footing, you're going to take damage. You could potentially have any of these things. I could set additional damage types. This will be bludgeoning. I can set statuses. You guys could be prone if you fall twice or something, or if you fail, and then that way it applies to whoever I select here. And then when I log it, it would be every time you guys begin your movement, you have to roll, and if you're unsuccessful, you halt your movement, or you fall, or you slip, or whatever. So that can be added as a preset as well. And then I can manage those logs, and I can remove them and remove older ones. And then I can make it apply to everybody in the world, so including you or including the monsters, depending on what the preset is. Then I've got my sync effects and run autopilot, so I can just do a full snapshot and have everybody, all the cycles go off. And then here's the downtime tuning, so I can actually disperse those, and I can either randomly roll it or I can resolve it with notes. Looks like my recent update didn't save, so I'll have to change that. And then I've got logs, create session logs from here. I can see all the different pluses and minuses, and I can set them or unset them. I've got the archived effects. So Party Sync is one of the archived effects that I've applied. I think I could probably remove this one for now, but whatever. And then I've got additional custom modifiers I can put on as well. Non-party, this is how things are applied in the global modifiers, and then I have a loot table here which I can select through, and then I can actually generate loot based on sliders. If I wanted to do a horde loot of standard equipment in the mid CR15, we'll do a major scale, and we can increase this actor count, so there's going to be more. I think this actually applies only to creatures. So if there was a defeated enemy of CR5, that was one enemy, then it would just be one actor count, which would be a higher yield for rare items and a lower yield for mass items. And then essentially if there was 5 or 10 at CR5, it would be lower items more and less higher rolled items. There we go. So there's some loot populated. We've got 225 gold worth of stuff, a couple items, silver ring. We can go take a look at that. Let's see, there's 10. Defeated enemy is actually, should have been counter assignment, so 5. There we go. So a little bit of a UI issue here, but there's a bunch of different items here that can be dispersed. So we had 5 enemies. And spell scrolls, we had a rare in there. Horde loot, this shouldn't apply anyways. You can run that. There's a regular horde loot of between 5 and 10 of our CR. Of course, if we scale that down, it's going to look a lot less great, but you do have the chance to get some uncommons and some rares. And gold. So, and then I can disperse that as well. And you can also, I can also put it up to claim. So I could basically push this to you guys, and then you have a thing that comes up, and you can claim those rewards or put a claim on it. And then, so here's the claim board. And that should populate to you guys. And I can clear it as well. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have so far.